My name is Rick Mannon, and I'm an inductee into the Brantford and Area Sports Hall of Recognition. And it's an honor and privilege for me today to be interviewing Leo Reise Jr. for hockey. Leo Reise Jr. was inducted into the Brantford and Area Sports Hall of Recognition in 1993 for the sport of hockey. After playing junior hockey for the Brantford Lions and Guelph Biltmores, Leo joined the Navy and played for the Naval Vets team in Victoria, Winnipeg, and Halifax. At the close of World War II, he turned pro with Blackhawks. In Chicago, he played parts of 2 seasons. He was traded into Detroit in 1946, an event that marked the real beginning of his NHL career. With the Wings, Leo played his best hockey, scoring 2 overtime goals during a bitterly fought semifinal series against the Maple Leafs in 1950. The Wings went on to claim the Stanley Cup that year, and again in 1952. During those years, Gordie, Howe, Ted Lindsay, and Red Kelly made the headlines, while Reise performed a great deal of the spade work that kept the Wings on top of the standings. In 1952, Leo was traded to the New York Rangers, where he played for 2 more seasons before heading to the minors to round out his hockey life with the Owen Sound Mercuries in 1955. In 494 NHL games, he recorded 28 goals, 109 points, and was named the second All-Star team in the 1950 and 51, and was a first All-Star in the 1950, 51, 52, and 53 years. When he started his NHL career in 1945, it was the first time that a father and son had made it to the top. His father, Leo Reise Sr., had played in the NHL for Hamilton and New York. And on a side note, Leo and his wife Geraldine have been married in 70 years in March, 1 month from now. So Leo, why did you take up the sport of hockey?
There's nothing else to do at the time. My father was a professional hockey player for years, and I thought, well, that's a good one to go. But it was, you didn't have any choices at that time. The choices come up, you make them as they come. One of the choices to play hockey, so I took that route. No, they didn't have to. Nobody wanted to see it. Do you want to be a pilot or anything? Nobody said that. Do you want to be a bank manager? Nobody asked me that. So the only thing I was capable of doing was being a hockey player.
That's great. Leo, do you have any mentors who've had an impact on your life?
No, not as a mentor. I don't believe so. My father was a hockey player, and he affected my life rather strongly. But my family broke up quite early, and so I can't assess who it meant. Tommy Ivan had as a young boy, playing hockey. Tommy Ivan was coaching. He was an influence, and every year, every stage of my life, there was somebody that was important. Somebody. But I never thought to look back and say he was my mentor. No, I didn't run across any like that. School teachers, no, they're all had an influence somewhere or another. So.
Is there any specific highlight or experience that really stands out? I know you've had a lot in your life, but is there just one that stands out more than the others?
I really don't know. Winning the Stanley Cup was something that ultimate at the time, but playing in the All-Star games and whatnot, there were experiences. You played against the guys, with them and against them, and every time you played in one of these, it was an experience worthwhile. So I didn't have any specifics, but boy, I played against a lot of good hockey players and with a lot of good hockey players. So the whole package is, at my age now, when I look back at, there's no light then here. It was the whole panorama in front of me, all those guys I played with and against. Real good guys, wonderful men. So that's all I can do.
Okay. Well, that actually leads me into the next question is, I know you played with Gordie Howe and Ted Lindsay, and you played against Rocket Richard. Can you tell us what it's like? What it was like?
What it was like? Well, you better be quick. That's when you had to be quick, and on your toes. You had to play. You play your best. You played your best against the best. Let's put it that way. If they were good hockey players, when you played against them, you were good too. That's what it amounts to. You had to be in with the group, and as long as you could stand up to them, that was what you had to do. And it didn't matter how good they were. They write-ups of all those guys. I was one of them. so therefore, that's what, I was as good as any of them. I was a Hall star, and that's it. And I maintained out all the time. So that my job was be the best that I could be, and to do that, I was as good as the other guy.
Okay, that's great. Talking about some of the players, who was the best player that you ever played against?
You know, you talk of the thing like that, you got. They like Max, not the Bentley brothers and Mosienko and those guys in Chicago, and Montreal had the Rocket and his brother and a couple other guys, and they were all, they were all stars. And when you play, they weren't that much different. You might have got a write-up different, and some of them scored a few more goals. But on a team, they were key and a part of it, and that's all. So you had to make sure that you could handle all of them as they come by. And I never thought of one guy better than the other. I just made sure that he wasn't better than me. And that solved my problem. So when you look at it objectively as an individual, you think, well, who's better? Hey, I played against so many good ones that I can't separate them. And at that time, there were some fine hockey players, and I was one of them. Let's put it that way. I was as good as they were, and enjoyed my life.
That's good, Leo. Now, I know there's got to be a lot of differences between when you played and now. I know money is one of the big differences, but what would you say is the biggest difference between when you played and now?
Well, I think there's bigger and stronger and faster. And I wouldn't think they're faster, but as a whole, they're just bigger and stronger. You had to cope with, as they got bigger and stronger, you had to cope with the bigger guys. But there was always room for a person in there that was good at skate faster. That was a big, I always felt, well, actually when I played in Detroit, we had in the practices, they said, Leo, you go. Now, they chased me around the rink. You lead them. You get out there and do it. And so that was what I felt I had to do at any time, against any team, any person. I had to be able to skate faster, backwards or frontwards sometimes. And that was, I always felt that you could never let them get ahead of you, or a step ahead or anything. You could never let them think that they could beat you, and you never let them. You sometimes hold them down, but fine. That's what there's so many fine hockey players. They like all these Abel, Lindsay, Howe, and all those other guys from Chicago, Bentley brothers, and all those guys. They're fine hockey players. There's just as many fine hockey players in other teams, and it was a great year to play in. I tell you, I had a great time. It's a great time to play.
That's great, Leo. Now, we know that you played in All-Star games that had the Stanley Cup champions play against the League All-Stars.
Yeah.
What do you think of that format, and do you think they should go back to that format?
The All-Star games now are not particularly interesting. Nobody put too much into it. It's big things, and you notice all the games came out even. They made 14, 19 each, or something like that. And so that the players never exhibited their best ability. He went through the motions, and you know, but it wasn't a show. If you said, well, you see the guy, the big name, and one now doing it, yeah, that was a big show. But unless it's competition, it meant to be competition, then it didn't mean too much. The shows, the All-Star games were pretty blasé types of things. So but it was always a honor to play in them. And when we played against the guys, you made sure that when you were on the All-Star team, you made sure they knew who you were.
Do you have a favorite NHL team now that you watch on television?
Anyone that pops up on the TV. I can't get enthusiastic about. I have to say, watch Detroit, watch them. No, I'm afraid that I haven't. Never have had. I've been attached to hockey for a long time, and the men and the players. There's never a better. It was just. So watching these guys play now, and on the All-Star games, they put through their motions and something real nice plays. The score was 10-10, I think, and so it was. But there was no competition. It wasn't. Nobody said, "I'm going to stop that guy." And I was going to stop that or do that. I was just. They're great shows, I guess. You go to sleep watching them.
Okay. Now you're aware that we've got a new Wayne Gretzky Sports Center that's in renovation. It's going to be opening very soon again with 4 hockey rinks. And I know you've been in it. What do you think of it?
Well, the complex we were in was a beautiful one. It's going to be lovely. Yeah. No. It's a credit to the country, the town to put it in.
Good. What do you think of the future of hockey in this area?
Well, now I have to go back. How?
I know you talked about the shows.
I think it'll be there's a massive lot of hockey players. The biggest problem is the cost of ice and the cost of equipment. The kids come in. My friend of mine has had a couple boys in the league in Brantford. They had to quit. It's too much money. And then I go to a road game and have somebody and a chaperone and pay this and do that. And then it took all I don't know how they can cope with it, because it costs a lot for ice and a whole bunch of. Then let's have a sponsor to. Like when I played in Brantford, we had the Lions Club, and they were headlined all the stuff we did, and there were a bunch of good men that were financing part of it. I guess they were. I don't know that much about them, but we had a core of people, and the ice was paid for, and you played and whatnot. But now you haven't got those guys. The tax situation is, in one sense, doesn't leave you something. Well, I can give that away. I can put that into sports. That's easy. I got enough I can help sponsor a team, but the tax situation. If you make a bill extra money, they take it. And that's why I have a problem at the whole area. At the old days, there was always people making money more than the other guy. And always men that had money enough to sponsor a team or pay for some trip for them. But now, when you make that much money, the government takes it. So that it's a happy feeling that I have anyhow. And I don't see how they can make it grow under the tax situation they have from an individual standpoint. If you made $100,000, they'd take 50% of it. So it's not too much. Well, that's my feeling anyhow. Whether it's true,
that all makes sense.
Whether it's true or not, I don't know. But I know that they used to have men that were able to have enough money to take. Well, when I was a kid growing up, one of the gentlemen and the kids were playing hockey. We'd take us to camp or whatnot, and they paid for the camp and all these things. They took guys like me who had nothing, and they would pay for you. And if you had skates, had to get skates, had to get skate, do something, always to help you. But now there are not that many people that can do it. Well, I don't think there are anyhow. Maybe they've already committed themselves, but the way I look at it, there aren't that many people have an interest in hockey that have enough money to do much sponsoring of it. But I don't know. I'm way back in time. But I noticed that the junior C kids get paid $35 to $50 a game. We got 50 cents to go and get a hot dog after the game. So now the juniors and whatnot coming up, somebody pays for them and whatnot. So the whole situation has completely changed. Where we were happy to get the 50 cents, so we go down to we used to go to the one on Colbert Street.
Olympia.
Yeah.
The Olympia.
Yeah. So we always get a hamburger.
Yeah.
And that was a great deal, you know. But I don't see how the game will grow unless there's some alterations or you have sponsors. And I don't know whether there's that many people can go.
Yeah.
Are interested enough to sponsor it. And once in a while you see some guy who sponsors the swimmers, what they pay for the swimmers, and a whole bunch, but there's not that many extras that you say, well, do that for hockey. And I don't think the professional hockey players now, I don't think too many of them are running around and say, well, I'll take some of that $1 billion I've made this year and sponsor a team. And I think that's selfish, but that's what, if I'm wrong, then I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong. But there's enough of hockey players who are making $1 million could sponsor a team, and so the kids can get new skates and pants and whatnot. Skates, my gosh, are $500 or $600 and this stuff, and it's a huge cost to equip a team. But you have to get somebody that has a payroll. Has $1 million, gets paid. Guy pays $7 million to play good defense, for heaven's sake.
It's an interesting point of view. You've got the experience to back that up.
They're not going to put anything. If they're going to do something, why don't you put out something? Why don't you sponsor teams, man?
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I've got another question.
That's
for you.
payback. That's payback time.
Sure. That's a good point. And I have another question is, if there was a young aspiring athlete right now, what advice would you give him?
I would tell him that if he has a capability, he should go to university and play hockey. They got some great hockey teams in the universities. Go to the States and here. There's some great hockey teams. A lot of players go from there into the league. So that's what I say. Get your background. If you haven't got the capability of getting a university, then whatever you invest your money in, do what you have to do. But I got my degrees by correspondence. When I first started out of hockey, I got out of high school, I thought, what am I going to do to get some money? So I said, well, an article was sent I took up accounting, and I went to chartered accountant in Brantford. Anyhow, I went to them, and they asked me what I was interested in. I was interested in farming, as a matter of fact. So I made the mistake of mentioning that. So I said, well, I don't think I'll make a good accountant. but then on, I took a correspondence course. I got my degree when I was 50. I was about my BA. I got my CGA when I was really 60, but I got my CGA. And I took correspondence course all the time I played hockey. I played it in Detroit. I took them in with international correspondence course. I took it all the time. Got my degree, degrees in RAC. I got a certificate in business, and then I got my BA down there. It was always in correspondence. So what I did was very honestly, I wasn't going to end up where my father did. My father had nothing. All he did was play hockey. And the problem was that he thought that would help him. He thought that the fans he made, well, I would always understand he was a hockey player and be generous to him. And it wasn't working that way. I remember when I had no bicycle. So he said, "I can get you one." So he got me one. He went up to, I forget who he got it from. But the problem is I came back with a broken spoke. So yeah, and I remember him counting on some of the people he knew. Well, I can get that. I remember that, well, he can get a bushel of apples or something. And, well, he got a bushel of apples, all the ground, everything picked off the ground. So that all the thinking went into it, that I have something here that's important. And there's nothing left after you played hockey. There's none of the people that were cheering you and yelling and saying, "Great for you." When you needed something, there's nothing there. And it's probably normal and natural. But I know he had the idea that that was maybe what he could rely on, his hockey, to take him longer, take him farther than it. But at the end, was the end. And a hockey fan is a great hockey fan. Just remember he's a fan. There's nothing left after that. So I was very conscious of all this going on. And I wasn't going to be me. And so
That's great advice, Leo.
I got my degrees, and I had a certificate in management, and had my CGA. So all those things I think every hockey player should do, but they're not going to.
Well, you had something to fall back on, right?
That's what you had. You had something to fall back on, and that was my ambition. Make sure that I didn't have to ask anybody for anything. Make it on my own.
That's great, Leo. Now, I noticed that your hands are really heavy. You got some stuff on your fingers there.
Well,
I want to see.
Yeah, this one is my Stanley Cup ring, and this is the other Stanley Cup ring.
Well, Leo, that's it for the interview. It's been an honor and a privilege.
I talk too much, but that's the way it goes.
It's been great. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. It's been a pleasure.